Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Allahumma iftah alayna bi hikmatika wa anshur alayna bi rahmatika ya dhal jalali wal ikram. Welcome to all of you. May God bless all of you. May He record among His angels this session tonight that you have made possible by your presence as one of the great majalis of the heavens and the earth. And may all of our names be written down in the book of Aliyin, in the highest book of the highest secrets. And may all of our sins be forgiven. All of our shortcomings be forgiven. And may all of us, by the blessings of the Prophet ﷺ and our attachment to him and our love of him, may all of our wrongs be blotted out. And all of our sins be forgiven. And may we love each other, and may we work with each other, and may we bring this love of the Prophet ﷺ to life, because this is the secret. This is the victory. And we live in a very difficult time. And you know so much about this time. And it looks as if there is no hope. And it looks as if our enemies are about to finish us off. But we have a secret. And that secret is in your heart. And that secret is the love of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we have to bring that out, and we have to cultivate that and nourish it, and then everything changes. Because those who speak about Islam negatively, and those who want us out, they don't know who he is. They've never dreamt of who he is. And if they knew him, they would be transformed. Because that is the kind of human being that he is. And we have to make that known, bi'ithnillahi ta'ala. And you and I and all of us, we have to radiate that light. And then there's nothing to fear. And then you'll even see that however great your enemy may be, he's quite likely, or she's quite likely, to become your friend. So we have the obligation as Muslims to make our love known, our love of the Prophet ﷺ, and to teach why we have that love, and to take his message forward in an authentic way. And then everything begins to change. This ugly version of something they call Islam, this is a travesty of the truth. And it has many defects. And it's grown up like a monster over the last 80 years, or 100 years in particular. But one of the marks of that beast is that it doesn't know the Prophet at all, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it does not love him. And it does not even follow him, even though they think they do. So we ask Allah to fill us with that love, and to enable us to take that love to everyone. When you think about time, what do you think of? You think about time. Is there an image that comes to your mind? For many of us, if we think about time, T-I-M-E, we think of a straight line. And that's because when we went to school, we were shown timelines. Okay, and the line is a straight line, and you have different dates, and this thing happened here, and that thing happened there, and this other thing happened in another place. But time is not a line. And that notion of time as a line, it is fundamentally mistaken. And that is a notion of time which is very common today. And it is a notion of time that is based purely on the idea of quantity. And that things are basically always the same. So here we are in the year 2015, 1437, in the beautiful month of Rabi' al-Awwal, and maybe the moon was in the sky tonight. I didn't have a chance to look, but this is a blessed month. But we have a tendency to think of time as a straight line. And that would mean that basically everything that happens in time is about the same, except that some things happen earlier and some things happen later. Okay, but that's not the way that time works. Time is fundamentally an embodiment of quality. And time is affected by the events that happen in it, by the people who live in it, by the places that exist in it. And if the events are great, like the birth of Jesus Christ, alayhi salam, or the birth of Moses, who is put in the taboo and sent in the Nile in the rushes, or like the birth of the blessed Prophet Muhammad, then that time is different. And there are changes everywhere. There are changes in the earth. There are changes in the flowers. There are changes in the petals of the flowers. There are changes in the stars. There are changes everywhere. Because great events qualitatively transform time. They make it something absolutely different. Just as blessed places affect space. We live in the state of Illinois, and this is our home. And we have wonderful brothers and sisters here who came from Michigan, and that's our neighbor. Or from Wisconsin, and that's our neighbor. Or Indiana. These are all beautiful homes for us. But are they equal to a land in which the Prophet ﷺ is buried, and in which he lived, and in which he walked on the earth? Imam Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, would not wear shoes in Medina. And he was a wealthy man, but he did not want to step with his sandal on any piece of ground in the blessed city where the Prophet ﷺ might have stepped. And this shows you how much he understood about the greatness of time and the greatness of place and the greatness of space. Time is transformed by you. And when you come together tonight to demonstrate your love of the beloved, then the world is not the same after that. And time is not the same after that. And although this is the blessed month of Rabi' al-Awwal, Rabi' al-Awwal now has treasures and ornaments to bear. So time is not a line. And there are also events that happen in time that transform it in an ugly way. So, for example, when the great Muslim peoples of Portugal and Spain were conquered and forced to give up what was dearer to them than life and to silence their religion, that wasn't a good time. That was not a time that made the heavens rejoice. It made the heavens weep. And it was hard and painful. It was too hard to bear. So this is the way that time works. It goes up, and it can also go down. And then it can come back up. And you are a maker of time. You are a transformer of time. And how do you do that? By transforming yourself. By transforming your heart, and by filling your heart with the love of the Prophet ﷺ, and tying yourself to him with knowledge, and tying yourself to him also with a golden chain, a silsila, a chain of living people who knew the people, who knew the people, who knew the people, who knew him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And that changes everything. And you are a blessed community. And you can do amazing things. So we didn't come here tonight for entertainment, even though what we heard was extremely entertaining. We didn't come here tonight just to be enraptured, even though the words we heard and the drum beats and the beautiful notes were enrapturing. But we came here to renew the covenant. Take my hand. Take my hand. I can't live without you. I'm nothing without you. You are my light. You are my moon. You are my guidance. You are my everything. Take my hand, blessed one. I give you my life. I would give you anything. And you are the beloved. You never saw him. If you saw him, you would not be able to bear it. Many people can't dream of the Prophet because they would not be able to bear it. Do you know how beautiful he is? Even when he manifests himself to many people in dreams, he doesn't come in his full beauty. He may even come to you in a dream in the form of your shaykh, if you have a shaykh. Because you couldn't bear it if he came as he actually is. I know of a person who he wanted so much to see the Prophet, but he wouldn't have been able to bear it. And then one time he saw him a long way away. A long way away, he could see him. He's so beautiful. But he was a long way away. And why? Because if he gets closer, you will melt. You will not be able to believe it. The Sahaba, Ridwanullahi alayhim, they did dhikr. They loved dhikr. The Quran was their dhikr. But they had a dhikr which is superior to the one I have, and the one that you have. They had a dhikr that has no peer. And what was that? To look on the face of the beloved. Because that is dhikr. To look on the face of the Prophet. To hold his hand. To smell his blessed hand. To smell his fragrance. Maybe he will even give you a cloak that was his. Maybe a hair of his beard. And that will be worth more to you than the whole world. That was who they were. And that's why they were transformed. And they transformed time itself. So when the Blessed Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born, it was as if the world was about to end. And Abraha comes towards Mecca with his elephant to try to destroy the Kaaba. But in that same year, when God rescued the Kaaba with little birds, with stones, as a miracle, in that same year was born the miracle of miracles. In that same year was born the Blessed One, the Chosen One, the Prophet of the end of days, the Mustafa, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And time begins to change. Time begins to turn around. And if we were to look at the world in the days of the Beloved, the idea that that world could be renewed, that that world could be changed, that that world could be made civilized, impossible. And by an orphan born in the city of Mecca, among a people who had never had a state, never had a government, never had an army or an administration, who were not a civilized people. And he's going to change the world. Speak about impossibilities. But he is the master of creation. And he is faced by impossible obstacles. And every one of them he overcomes beautifully. It is said that when the Prophet was born, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he became an island in a sea of chaos. A sea of chaos. And of course, if you and I think about that, maybe we think of Arabia. We think of Arabia because Arabia was in chaos. Okay? It was difficult to rule, difficult to control. The idea that this could be the cradle of civilization, who would have ever thought of that? But that ocean of chaos was not just Arabia. It wasn't just the Hijaz. It wasn't just Najd. It wasn't just Tihama. It wasn't just the eastern provinces. It was the whole world. The whole world was a raging sea of chaos. And those companions who, within a few decades, would come forth from Arabia with light in their hearts and their faces, filled with the love of the Prophet, they would change it all. That is impossible. Do you realize how impossible that was? And yet it happened. The transformation of time, the transformation of space, the transformation of places and peoples. And this is the gift of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then that island of stability and beauty and peace in the sea of chaos, it begins to grow. Then comes Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Sadiq Mutasaddiq, the man of truth, the man of sadaqah, give you anything, everything. His wealth never means to him more than you. He would give you everything, and he joins hands with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Imam Ali, shaja'a wa ilm, who is nothing but the embodiment of knowledge and courage. And he joins the hands of the Prophet as a young feta, a young noble youth who stands by the Prophet. And then comes Umar, and comes Uthman, and comes all the rest of the Sahaba, and the Sahabiyat, the great women around the Prophet. Of course, Khadija, and the Ammat, the paternal aunts of the Prophet, and the paternal and the maternal aunts of the Prophet, and so forth. And then the island begins to grow a little bit bigger. Hamza, it grows a little bit bigger. And that island grows and grows until finally it begins to claim the sea. and all of Arabia becomes an island of stability, an island of peace, of beauty, and it had never been that way, ever. Now it becomes this miraculous transformation, and then that good begins to spread to the whole world. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to fill our hearts with the love of the Beloved. That is what counts. That is what life is all about. That is what transforms us. There was a great saint in India, in the state of Orissa, and I happen to be very close to that saint. He was a great man. And one day before he died in 1984, someone came to him and he said different things, but he said, there are people who don't believe in love of the Prophet. And they don't believe that we should sing about the Prophet, or that we should do these kind of things we're doing here. And he was an old man, and he said, what is their kalima? What is their kalima? He said, what is their kalima? And the person said, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. And he said, no, no. He said, their kalima is La ilaha illallah, kana Muhammadun Rasulullah. He said, their kalima is, there is no God but God, and Muhammad was the messenger of God. But that's not the kalima. Muhammad is the messenger of God. He is the messenger of God. Before the creation of the heavens and the earth, he is the messenger of God when he is sent by the angel Gabriel, alayhi salam. And he is now the messenger of God and forevermore. And we ask Allah to let us attach to him and to love him and to devote our lives to him with that love. And God bless all of you, all of our beautiful brothers and sisters, all of you who made this possible. May God bless this beautiful center. May God bless the Turks. May he bless the Bosnians. May he bless all of the Muslims in the Arab world, and all of the Muslims in India and Pakistan and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and the Maldives and Indonesia and Malaysia and all of the world, and the Muslims here especially, and enable us here in the United States and in Canada to do this beautiful work. Ameen, ameen, ameen. Allahumma waffiqna lima tuhibbuhu wa tardah, waj'alna min abidika as-su'ada, wa amitna ala kalimati al-huda, allimna ma yanfa'una, wa waffiqna lil-amali bima 'allamtana bih, واجعل ما نحن فيه خالصا مخلصا لوجهك الكريم يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعل تجمعنا هذا تجمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا بعده تفرقا معصوما لا شقيا منا ولا محروما. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Oh God, make us worthy of the Prophet and let us walk in his sandals, live the life that he guided us to, and be filled with love and goodness. Ameen, ameen, ameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.